As some of you know, this is now the 6th interview this week for the Hospitality Revival Summit, and I've invited Mark. I found Mark actually through somebody else's podcast, and Mark was a guest on this podcast that had nothing to do with hospitality. But as soon as I heard Mark speak about what he's going to be talking about this evening, it really just struck a chord with me, and I thought I just need to find out more and to speak to this guy. So I think, as I've mentioned to some of you already this week, that I was on Mark's 5-day challenge last week and learnt an absolute shed load. Haven't been able to put stuff into practice yet because I think I was just busy thinking about this week and it was just too much for my brain to cope with. But having said that, some of the things that Mark's going to be talking about, this is just the perfect opportunity while we're just starting to get back. This is probably the perfect time to be doing some of the things that Mark's going to be talking about. That's in my view. So Mark, would you like to just say something about yourself, introduce yourself to the group?
Hello everybody, and it's nice to see a couple of names that I recognize, and thank you everybody for introducing yourselves. That's awesome, so I get a real good understanding of everybody that's in the room. So my name is Mark Simpson. I am speaking to you right now from the Granary Farmstay, which is a 14-bed bed and breakfast, 3 holiday cottages in Scarborough, North Yorkshire. And it's been a hospitality business now for well over 30 years. It was converted from a barn into a 4-bed bed and breakfast when foot and mouth crisis was around in the 90s, and so my parents made a really big decision to, and they got really cool hindsight to sort of act then. And my sort of background from how I went from growing up in a B&B to now helping hospitality owners was in 2012 is when I came into this full time. So I grew up, went away, did the traveling. I'm actually I did all my soccer coaching when I was growing up. I'm a big Liverpool fan. I was very fortunate to go traveling around the States, coaching soccer, and went around Australia and bits and bobs, and came back in 2009. And in 2012, me, my wife, and my eldest, who's now 7, he was 2 at the time. I've got 3 boys. I've got a 7-year-old, 4-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And we moved back to the farm because we were living away at the time, and we just thought that it'd be an amazing little place for our little boy to grow up. And we were also, my parents wanted one of my 4 siblings to come in and help them run the business because they'd had it for well over 20 years at that point, and they weren't online. So all of their bookings were pretty much, still had the paper diary. I don't know if there's people who still use those paper diaries, but using that, having to tip X out when people were counselling and whatnot. And so my background before we came here, after the soccer coaching, is I got into sales and marketing down in London. And I really, really got into the marketing side. So even though I was sales, I was doing it for Yelp, which was Quip at the time. And I was selling those cold calls for sponsored listing places on the website, a little bit like Yellow Pages. I was doing that, but I really took an interest. I was spending most time at the marketing team. I was sort of getting into Facebook, getting into Google, SEO, learning about all of these up and coming social media channels that were around, and I really loved it. And I got to know Google and how that works and how the review system works and how algorithms and all of this sort of worked. And in 2012, when we came back, I just sort of took over the role of getting the business online. And over the course of 18 months, I really focused on Facebook. I really focused on just making sure that our online presence was really good. So I just put the practice and the tactics and the tips that I learned in London just into play here. And we got into the top 3 in TripAdvisor in the area. Our Facebook page grew to be one of the most followed local pages in the area, and we set up email marketing, and we really grew that side. And I just thought at the time that's what everybody was doing. I just thought that's what everybody knew how to do and whatnot. And in 2016, I read a book by a guy called Tim Ferriss. I don't know if anybody wants to put in the chat if they know who Tim Ferriss is. But I read a book and it just sort of blew my mind at systems and structures and all of the things. And so I put them into practice here. And I pretty much sacked myself because of the systems and the structures and what I put into play. And I just, my job just became pretty much redundant. And it just meant that I had more time to go out and go to local tourism meetings and things like that. And it was at one of the meetings that I went to, 2016, and I just started chatting to other hosts in the Scarborough area, just sort of asking questions, just, how are you getting your bookings? Where are your bookings coming from? What are your direct bookings like? And, I was kind of taken back by how little people knew about social media, Google, and all of the things. And I just asked a question at one of the meetings. I said, if I put on like a little workshop up at the farm one evening, once we finished the evening meal, would anybody be interested in coming up? And I'll show you a couple of tactics that I've been putting into practice. And those are the first 6 people that put their hand up. They were the first people that I ever sort of taught this way. And it just sort of snowballed from there. I sort of realized from looking around that there was nobody else that was really giving help and advice that was actually any good. I looked around and there's people either giving really bad advice or really outdated advice. And then I went to sort of the Yorkshire in tourism and they weren't really doing anything. And there was nothing really online. So I created a Facebook group called the Hospitality Community. Just for the people that are tuning in, are you part of the hospitality community? Just put yes or no, just so I know who we've got here that already know about the hospitality community. So the hospitality community in the chat box, it's the hospitality community. It's the biggest, it's the most engaged, Facebook group for hospitality owners now. So it grew from just the 5 people that attended, those 6 people that attended the group. And I created it for just Scarborough and Whitby hospitality businesses. But, and my idea was I'm just going to show up every single day and just add in a little bit of advice and tips just to give hospitality owners a bit more of an idea when it comes to online. And it started from there in 2016 and it just grew and grew. People from York found it. People from Edinburgh started to find it. People from Ireland and further abroad. And when on Facebook, when you get a group that starts to get a lot of exposure, then it just starts recommending to other people. So now it's got over 4,000 people in from all over the world. And it is the most engaged Facebook group for hospitality out there, and it's fantastic. I absolutely love it. I've got people helping me run it, and it's fantastic. And then over the years of people being in there, what happened were that more and more people were asking me questions, and at the time I sort of started doing a bit of one-on-one work here in Scarborough. So I'd go in and work one-on-one with bed and breakfast or rental properties or hotels, etc. But what I found was I could only work with a couple of people at once just because the work was so full on. And so many people were asking me questions. And I just thought, well, why don't I do this? Instead of just doing one-on-one work, why don't I just stop doing that and then just dedicate doing a one-to-many? And that's where Boostly was created. So now Boostly, what I do now is I've got a podcast, a weekly podcast, goes over 20,000 downloads. I've got training. I've got online training groups. I've got a thing called the Book Direct membership. I do. We started up doing website design, and we've got over 1,000 people, over 1,000 clients from all over the world. It's going crazy. It's snowballed so much to where we are now. And the challenges that I put on last week, the one that Caroline mentioned, I put on a sort of a 5-day challenge, and I do it every now and again. I do it a couple of times throughout the year, but I did it last week because there's this certain challenge that I do, and I think Caroline wants to talk about it a little bit alongside staycations, that when I do it, it's the easiest, the fastest, the cheapest, the most cost-effective way to get so many eyes on your business. It is crazy. And we did it last week, and the results were phenomenal. We had over £40,000 worth of new direct bookings that were tracked on the back of last week alone. And that's all that's all I've been able to track so far. So it's gone down so well. And when Caroline said, I know that there's a lot going on right now, but would you want to do this? I was like, yeah, 100%. I'm well up for help in any way, shape or form. So that's a little bit about me. The hospitality community is the Facebook group. Please, everybody go and check out and join. Doesn't matter whether you're a hotel, farm stay, Doesn't matter what you're running right now. Even if you're just looking to get into it, come and join, because there's a good group there.
I'll make sure that I put all the details in the follow-up email tonight. So, because you've mentioned there's the hospitality community, the podcast. Are you able to just put a link or something in the chat box?
Yeah, well, it's simple. If you just go to boostly.co.uk from the website, you can go everywhere.
So I'll get all of them from there.
Audio, written, and YouTube as well. Yeah. So, I think you wanted to ask some questions about last week, and then what I'll do is I'll share some tips, and I'll show everybody some really cool staycation tips, because I know someone's on here specifically for that. So fire away.
So yeah, because obviously I've just sort of mentioned last week, but I haven't actually said what it is that you were talking about last week. So what Mark was talking about last week is essentially Facebook giveaways, but it's a fantastic way to get a massive amount of traction on your Facebook page, and people who didn't, had very little traffic, like me, we're starting to get some massive results. But also, if you've already got a mailing list and sort of combining the two, it's really very powerful. But rather than me talking about it, do you want to talk about it, Mark? Because
100%. And I like to do my interviews, my videos, the chats. I love them to be interactive. I can see you're all watching. I can see you're all tuning in. So I'm going to ask you to take part in the group chat. You don't have to come on with your microphone. Just get your fingers and tap away, because I'm going to ask some questions. So first question to everybody is, do you currently have a Facebook business page? Just put yes or no. Sorry, and I can see you've just been finishing off some food there. Is that your dinner? So Jane, yes. Sam, yes. Yeah. Caroline, yeah. Fantastic. So again, yes or no. Have you run a Facebook giveaway before? Yes or no? Harrow has, absolutely. Jane, no. Jane, no. Okay. So Troy's unsure. That's all right, buddy.
You haven't. I don't think you have, Troy. I would have seen it if you had.
That's all right. So again, what I would love to find out, again, put it in the chat box. Why have you never run a Facebook giveaway before? And again, there's no right or wrong answer. Just sort of, I want to get like a good idea, like the mindset of where everybody's at. Not sure how, never occurred to me. So the main reason why the granary grew as quickly as it did was because of the giveaways. We would do a giveaway every 12 weeks, between 10 and 12 weeks. And it was a surefire way of how to get thousands of people looking at our business all at the same time without spending any money. This is the beauty of a giveaway on Facebook. And if you think about how Facebook works, it doesn't matter whether you've got 1 follower, 10 followers, or 15,000 followers. Whenever you put a post out on your Facebook business page, and if you are not going to put any ad spend behind it, Facebook on purpose strangles the reach to just 1% of your audience. Now, why would they do this? Because Facebook is a business, and like any business, it needs to make money, and it's on the PSC. It's got shareholders. They've got to keep them happy. So instead of charging everybody, the billions of people that use it, to a monthly subscription, instead they make the businesses pay. So what they do, and they don't tell this, but they strangle your reach to just 1%. Whenever you hit that post button, a very small amount of your followers see it. Now, what Facebook is doing, and it does it for a number of reasons, is it's going, right, there are millions upon millions of business pages on Facebook. We've only got a very limited feed. So when you open up Facebook on your phone and you're scrolling, they make more money the longer you and I stay on their app or on their website. Okay. So when somebody's doing the scroll, to get into that scroll, you've got to be doing something right, because Facebook will only present the information to the user based on what it wants to see. So with a with a post that they put out, they want to make sure that that is not spammy, clickbaity, fake news. You know, Facebook have been in the news loads about this over the past sort of 16, 18 months. And, you know, with obviously with current events that are going on in America, it's even more heightened with Twitter and Facebook and tweets of that nature and whatnot. So with a post, what Facebook do is you hit the post button, and 1% will see it. So it strangles the reach. What it's looking is to see if that post gets a ton of engagement in a short period of time. Now, if it does, then Facebook is going, oh, okay, so this post by Carolyn's page is doing super, super well. So what it's going to do is it's going to make it available to more and more people. But with majority of posts, unless you're super active and you've got super fans that are following your page, it's really hard to do that unless you're going to be giving Facebook money. Now, I'm a very typical Yorkshireman. I love doing everything for free as much as possible. If I don't have to spend money, I won't do. So I've figured out this process very quickly. So I thought, well, what is the best way of getting a ton of traffic all at the same time without spending any money? And that's competitions, giveaways, whatever you want to call it. The reason why everybody loves to win something, whether it is a pen or, you know, I'm watching tons of TV at the moment because of coronavirus. ITV, Andy Peters sat in his car driving around saying, win this. People love to win stuff. All right. So if we're in hospitality, every single one of us in hospitality, some way, shape or form, we have got the perfect thing to give away, which is a holiday, you know, which is a vacation, which is a stay in a room or a property or whatever. And if you do it right, and if you do it correctly, and you structure your competition well, then every single time it just goes like gangbusters. And I have fine-tuned this process and this method over the years to where I believe I've got the perfect process. And I started to do these challenges because I was doing it for the granary and it worked so well. We were getting so many direct bookings. We were getting so many people signing up to our email newsletter. We had so many people contacting us, et cetera, et cetera. And we even found that previous guests had come out the woodwork and go, we stayed with you years ago, totally forgot about you, but your post has come up on my feed and now we remember you. So it works in so many variables of getting new people coming in, getting old people reinterested, and then just all through social media. And that's why it works really well. And I know for a fact there's going to be at least one person on this, whether it's live or on the replay, going, well, I don't want to give away a stay. I've only got one property, or, you know, I've only got a very limited calendar. It works for gift hampers. It works for Amazon vouchers. It works for anything. So it doesn't have to be a stay. But obviously, if we're in the world of hospitality and we want to put our business in front of people, then hospitality and rooms or a stay is one of the best ways, which is...
Emma's put an example in here. You can totally vouch for this idea. We did this for one of our Edinburgh hotels. We reached 120,000 people in an overnight stay. For those of you who were on with Steve and Harry yesterday, they talked about hampers and having something that wasn't just for their property, but maybe talking about the local community and bringing stuff together. So that's, again, something else that you might be able to do as a giveaway, but it's still got your branding on it and the name of your property on it. I'll shut up now. No,
100%. No, you're 100% right. And yeah, so, I mean, I've just run it next week. So for everybody who's just hearing about me for the first time, I'm probably going to do it again in about 12 to 13 weeks time. So, you know, come and join the hospitality community, or just come and join the group, and I'll let everybody know when we're going to do it again. And it is really a really good way. But yeah, I think let's give some people some advice on what they can be doing right now to be getting bookings, because obviously it's looking likely that next month is when hospitality is going to be allowed to reopen in the UK. There's not been anything official, but the unofficial date that's been passed around is the 4th of July. And, you know, whether we like it or not, we are going to be hearing this phrase so much over the course of the coming weeks and months, and it's staycation. So for those of you who don't know what staycation is, it's basically where you're going to be getting a load of people staying with you that can just jump in a car. I think the prospect of people flying anytime soon is not very predictable. I think you're more likely now to be getting people come and stay with you instead of flying for their holiday. We don't know what the season is going to look like. We don't know how long the season is going to go on for. There's so many things that we cannot control. But ever since the world turned upside down in the middle of March, I've been saying this time and time again. I started doing daily live videos just because so many people were freaking out. But I've just been saying the same thing over and over again. Don't focus your time and your effort on the things that you can't control, i.e. getting grants, i.e. when's all this going to end. Focus on what you can control. And if anybody hasn't seen any of my live videos, you can go back and rewatch them. Just go to facebook.com/Mr. Mark Simpson, and they're all there, and you can go and check out. We touched upon so many things, but one of the videos that I did, the one that had the most people tune in, the one that had the most reaction to it, the one that people really got on board with and were really chatting about most, is the staycation one. Because what I did in that episode, and I'm going to share with you, everybody, the exact same thing that I spoke about, is actionable tactics and tips that we can all be doing to be getting in front of a potential guest right now. So when we do reopen, then we are ahead of everybody else. Because again, the hospitality community is a fantastic group, but since March, people have been freaking out. I can just see two different types of people. People have been sat on their hands. People have been bitching, whinging, moaning, blaming people, whatnot, for what's been going on. And there's been the other people that have just got on with it, and got on with it in so many different ways. And the people that are being proactive right now more than ever, when the restrictions lower, you will be the ones that will be bouncing back the hardest and the fastest. So everybody on here, by simply being in here, you're literally ahead of so many people. So well done. Now, one of the first things that you can all be doing, particularly if you've already got guests that have stayed with you in the past, which I believe is 99% of people that are tuning in, one of the easiest things that you can do right now is not even worry about your next guest. I mean, this is a problem with so many business owners, not just hospitality, is that we always are worried about the new money, the new guest, that new booking, that new customer. When we're very fortunate, particularly the person in here who's got 45 hotels all around the UK, is we've got a ton of previous guests, a ton of previous data. Now, again, I need you all just to jump in the chat box. So put yes or no. Do you have a PMS, a property management software, a place online that you've got all your bookings stored from the past? Yes or no. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a yes. Doesn't matter if it's a no. If it's a yes, your life is going to be a bit easier. Try, don't worry, buddy. Jane, don't worry about those lovely 4 little letters. GDPR. Love those. I don't know. So basically a PMS is, so I think it's Anna Ashness. So free to book, super control. Do any of these names ring a bell, or do you still have a paper diary? I'm anticipation here at the answer. I can see the fingers typing. Oh, I think there's an essay coming up. You've got me on tender hooks right now. In style. There you go. So that's the PMS. Fantastic. Yeah, so you do have that. So what you can do is you've got all of this data right now. Now, I'd love to know who you're all with. So Paul, Sarah, Harrow, Jane, Maxine, Lee, who do you have? Free to book. Jane F. uses spreadsheets and a paper diary. Oh man. Please get a PMS, Jane. If you do me one thing, just get a PMS. Go to boostly.co.uk/PMS. Jane, Damien Sheridan, free to book. So let's focus down to please get off spreadsheets and paper diary. You're literally, my OCD is kicking in here. I just want to reach out and just sort of give you a hug and say it's going to be all right. So boostly.co.uk/PMS, there's literally hundreds to choose from. But let's just focus down real quickly on free to book. So you can go into free to book, you can go into any PMS, you can go into your dashboard, and you can go to your reports. All right. Now, what you can do with the reports is it basically gives you a breakdown in a Google spreadsheet or a Google sheet of every guest that stayed with you. Now, here's a super cool thing that you can do. Focus on the 80-20. So if I say the 80-20 rule, who knows what that means? Put your hand up or in the chat box to say, do you know what that is? The 80-20 rule. So the 80-20 rule is the Pareto principle, where you focus on the 20% of the guests that have brought in 80% of your revenue, or just 80% of awesomeness, or just 80% of the best reviews. So what I'm getting at here is you're going to focus on your top 10 guests. So either the top 10 guests that you know, that you go, you know what, these have stayed with me loads, we love them, or they've just brought in that really big booking, with that big booking that came in, whether it was a wedding or whatever, or just, people have brought in the best reviews. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to get those 10 guests. Now, if you've been doing this right, you should have their name. You should have their real email address. And when I say real email address, I don't mean the one that booking.com gave you or whatnot. It's like their real email address. Or you should hopefully have their address, their postal address. Now, what you're going to do, number one, if you're brave enough and you're up for it and you're feeling a little bit crazy, pick up the phone and give them a call. That is literally the easiest thing that you can do. Pick them up, give them a phone call, say, hey, Paul, how you doing? Obviously, the world's been a bit crazy at the moment, but we just wanted to let you know that we are getting ready to reopen very, very soon. We would love to see you. We're going to be reopening here. We've got these new policies put into place, cleaning policies, etc., because of current times, and also as well, this is our new cancellation policy. I'll talk about cancellation policy in a little bit, but anyway, we would love it if you could come and see us, and then he'll go, yeah, great. I'll speak to the blah 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 blah. And just say, listen, if you can't come to visit us, we totally understand, but please do me one thing. Can you just go on to social media, just give us a mention, or just email somebody that you know is looking for a holiday coming into the area. We really, really would appreciate it. The do you know anyone is so important, but it's something that we never do. A motto that I go by is shy kids don't get sweets. So if you don't ask, you don't get. And now more than ever, and I banged on about this last week. I love throwing out these little cliches, but last week, throughout the whole of the week, my motto and my aim was to make everybody comfortable about being uncomfortable. You are going to have to do things now in your business that you are not used to doing in the past. If you think about it, hospitality owners have got a massive advantage over a lot of business owners that you know. Think about all the business owners that you know right now. Think about all the businesses that you have started in the past. Think of a business that you could start up and you could just put your business on one or two websites, and they could pretty much fill up your full calendar, bring you full of your revenue without you having to do anything. And that's what we get with hospitality. The only thing that I can think of that comes anywhere near is maybe Amazon for e-commerce. But we've got the ability to just be as lazy as we like. We can just put our property up on Booking, Airbnb, Expedia, and as long as we don't put crappy pictures up, we can pretty much get bookings, because we're in an industry where, especially in July and August, we could fill up our properties 4 times and 5 times over. But in March, Airbnb, Booking.com, Expedia, they all proved what they are and what they think of us. They keep calling us partners, but we're not partners, we're just a number. And in the middle of March, when all of this went down, without even consulting us, what did they do? They pulled the rug from under us and they just cancelled all those bookings without even telling us. They didn't even give us an opportunity to speak to our guests that were booked in to say, listen, this is what's going on, this is what we're doing. So now, more than ever, business owners, and particularly hospitality owners, we're going to have to start taking more responsibility of our marketing. We're going to have to take more responsibility at what we're doing. We can't just be lazy anymore. We can't just list them on these sites and just sit back and go, well, I'm just going to wait for that email to come in. We've got to be doing things. So, these tips that I'm sharing you now, and if I've just said picked up the phone and inside of you has just gone, not doing that, who's this fella? So trust me when I say this, you're going to have to start doing things like this. Now, if you're not brave enough to jump on a call, then guess what you can do? And this is something that somebody in the hospitality community mentioned, and it's a fantastic, fantastic idea. This lady, I think she's in Devon. What she did is she went on Vistaprint, or insert generic printing site, and mocked up a little postcard. And she did 100 of them, and she got them delivered, and it's branded for her business. And she basically picked out 100 postal addresses, again, adopting the sort of 80-20 rule, and she's a B&B. And what she did is she simply has written to all of her guests that have stayed with her in the past, 100 top guests, nothing salesy, nothing too much, just something along the lines of, hey Maxine, we miss you. Lots of love, Vicky, John Price, at da-da-da-da. That was it. And she's sent them in the post. Now, if you think about where we are in the day and age, what do you get in the post that isn't a bill? Nothing. We don't write anymore. You know, it's either Christmas cards that someone that you haven't heard from in ages, or it's a bill. So to get a postcard in the post, handwritten, that little bit of personalization, that little bit of humanization, that little bit of contact that we just haven't had. I don't know about you, but you know, I just haven't seen anybody in the past sort of 10 weeks. It's not my close family. So to have that from a business that's not trying to sell you something just means the world. And that is good karma. And that cost her, I think it was 120 quid. Postage, you may be looking at what, 40, 50 quid on top of it. So 170 pound spend for the potential return is a phenomenal idea. Paul did that for all my top guests. Response has been great. You know, I think we need to be getting Paul on here. This fella's sales and marketing. When he introduced himself, like, shit, I gotta step up in this one. We've got some clever people in this room right now. So, number one, pick the phone up, postcard, or even just email. You know, and now this is again GDPR, the lovely four-letter GDPR. It scared so many business owners last year, and it didn't need to. Now, again, I have to say this because I get told every time I have to say this. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a GDPR lawyer. Don't sue me. But GDPR has always been here. It's always been a thing. It's always been here. It's just been updated because it needed to get updated because the laws were so out of date. Now, as long as you're not buying email addresses, I mean, who buys email addresses anyway? Then you're not going to get in trouble. As long as you're not taking email addresses, importing them into your mailing system and sending out spammy emails left, right, and center, and you're not going to get in trouble. If you just have a very brief overlook of what you aren't allowed to do, then you're absolutely fine. And again, what we are doing right now is we are chatting to people that already know, like, and love us. So again, by picking up the phone and having a conversation, you sound. By sending a postcard, you sound. You don't have to worry about that. And we're speaking to our top 10 people. Now, if you were to take one email and just email them on a one-on-one basis, where it's non-salesy, non-sleazy, but it's like, Caroline, how you doing? We miss you. How's the family? Da-da-da-da-da. Hope all is well. Just to let you know, we are about to reopen. If you want to have any chats about any rates, da-da-da-da-da, please let us know. That's absolutely sound. Now, again, I say this all the time, just as long as you're not buying email addresses, as long as you're not spamming thousands of people with stuff that they don't want to see, then you'll be okay. We'll be okay as small business owners. Trust me, the ICO have got much bigger kettle and fish to fry than to worry about little old us. So as long as you're not doing that, you're all right. What's next? I've got a full phone load of notes, and you know, I know haven't got a lot of time, but I'll keep on going for as long as you want me to go. Okay, next one, and this is a really cool one, and it's something that so many people have stopped doing. Now, this is a cost, but it is a very little cost because right now everybody's stopped doing it. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about printed advertising. Now, staycation, bearing in mind that when it comes to staycation, there was a big survey that was done last month. They interviewed over 15,000 people that travel, make journeys and whatnot, are looking to travel. And they said that the question was, how far will you travel when you do make your vacation in 2020? And the overwhelming response was maximum free 3.5 hours, which I think is about reasonable. In the UK, free 3.5 hours. So what you're going to do, you literally go to where you're based, and you're either going to do a big circle if you're in the middle of the country, or just do a semicircle if you're on the coast, and go and find the places that are around you. Now, if you have got a database already, if you have got addresses or reports, your life is going to be a lot easier, because again, all you're going to do is do the 80-20. So I'm in Scarborough, and I know without me looking, this is just from the last 6 years of doing this, and I do it every year. I know that the majority of people come and stay with us that are based in Leeds, Doncaster, and we've got Newcastle. Those are the 3 areas that we get the majority of our guests from. So what I'm going to do is I go to Leeds, Donny, Newcastle. I'm going to go and find the local newspapers. Now, why am I going to do that? Because again, everybody gets local newspapers in their area, or, you know, one of those magazines that gets pushed through your door. I'm going to try and find as many small publications as I can do. You can do a Google search. You can do whatever you need to do to find them. It's super simple to do. Go on the Johnson Press website. Johnson Press owns the majority of the newspapers in this country. But anyway, you're going to call the sales team. And, you know, right now, printed newspapers are crying out for money investment. You can tell, because even the big newspapers right now are asking for donations, are asking for support. They're worried because of the current climate, because everybody's pulling out of advertising. So when everybody zigs, you should zag. This is the best time to get a printed advertisement for such a low rate. So you call up the sales team, and, you know, you can basically haggle, and you can just sort of go, right, if the world's going to reopen in July and it's a weekly newspaper, where's the best place that I can, what page is going to be good? You know, anywhere near the classified section is always a sort of a decent place I found to get an advert. What can I also get? Can I also get like a write-up? All of those sort of things. And again, if you're basing this on the 80-20 rule, so if know that majority of my guests come from Leeds, and, you know, if you've got to think about it right now, if we've been on lockdown for 10 weeks and Scarborough or on the coast is a heavily touristy location, then I just know that people are going to be crying out just to get to the coast, get away, have a different area, a different place to be. So again, just make sure that your ad has got a nice picture. It's got key points. So right now, get away from the city, family, farm stay, property, 200-acre farm, bring your pets, child-friendly, super quick Wi-Fi, you know, all of the things that I know that my demographic needs and wants. You put it out there, and again, you get a write-up. It's just gonna be seen by a whole lot of people. You don't have to run it for weeks and weeks and weeks. You can just test it for a couple. And again, it's so cheap to do right now compared to if you'd have done it a year ago. Now, if you don't want to spend money, then Facebook groups. There are Facebook groups for every niche out there. There's Facebook groups for knitting. There's Facebook groups for hospitality. There's Facebook groups for cryptocurrency. You name it, there is a Facebook group for every niche. So what you need to do, again, it will take you 30, 45 minutes to do the research. Go and into the cities, particularly in the cities or the areas, or your particular niche, so farm stay, etc., and go and find a few. Find maybe 10 and request to join the groups, and just, you know, once a day or once every couple of days, just put a little post up, just explaining people a little bit more about the area, explain to people a little bit more about your property, where you are. You know, you can maybe do a video, a picture, whatever it would be. But again, just start to talk about your property and just say, if you're looking to have a staycation, vacation, or staycation getaway, then please check us out. Again, that's the free option. So you've got a paid option there. But if we've got anybody that's a fellow Yorkshireman like me who don't like to spend any money, you've got the free option as well. What have I got? I've got literally, you see my phone now, I've got so many notes. I've got notes upon notes upon notes. I'm gonna give you. That's if you want me to. Caroline, you can literally jump in and tell me to be quiet. Well, whenever you want. I know we're
as far as I can say, you can keep going as long as you want, because everybody's still here who started out. And I know that, you know, you just, if you can't stay, it's absolutely fine. but equally I know that you're just going to deliver such value. So I'm going to, you know, if you're happy to stay, then I'm
let's
happy
do this. 15 more minutes, 16 more minutes of your time, as long as you all want me to. If you want me to stay, just put yes in the chat, or if you want me to go away, just put no, and I'll take that as a hint. All right, Maxine, thank you for saying the first one to say yes. If Harrow says no, then I'm going to stay anyway, because it's my mission to annoy Harrow as much as possible. No comment. All right, the next one, and this is really cool. So for those of you that have done this in the past, so Paul and other people that might have done this before, Facebook ads. Facebook ads right now are so cheap, because again, everybody is cutting their advertising costs, because again, everybody's doing it, and Facebook ads right now are 40% less cost per click than what they were back in February. So it's a really good time to even just dabble in it. I can't explain the full process in this 15 minutes, but I do have a video on my YouTube channel showing you exactly how to do this, and I'll make sure that Caroline gets a copy of it, so she can just give you the link that you can send out afterwards. But in that video, I actually share my screen and I show you exactly how I set it up, so you can just do the step by step. But what you can do, bearing in mind that people are traveling for 3.5 hours for their staycation, is on Facebook. So you've got, just imagine this is here, and you've got your little location. You can actually draw a big circle around your property 2.5 hours away from where you are, and you can run an ad to anybody who lives within that circle. So just imagine how powerful that may be. And because it's super specific, because it's super narrowed in, it's so cost effective, because a cost per click will be so much cheaper than if you just did for the whole of the UK. And again, the cool thing about Facebook, and for those who don't know, Facebook literally know everything about you right now. Facebook knows which websites you go on. Facebook knows what you like, what you don't like. It knows what you're talking about because it's listening to us. So when it comes to advertising and marketing, you can put that advert in exactly who you want to speak to. So again, you all should know who your customer avatar is, who your ideal customer is. One of the biggest problems with business owners when it comes to marketing is that we always try and appeal to everybody. If you appeal to everybody, you appeal to nobody. So again, make sure that when you're setting it up, you know exactly who you want to be seeing that ad. So for example, for us, it would be young families. It would be somebody that likes coming to Scarborough, somebody who enjoys the countryside. You know, we know exactly who our demographic is, who our ideal audience is. And again, with Facebook, you can do that. The easiest thing is you just draw a big circle around, you run the ad to them, you make sure your picture is your best picture that really sells your property. So if you've got a fantastic view, if you know, if you've got really nice decor, X, Y, and Z, make sure that's that first picture. And again, the wording that you're going to use, the copy, is your ideal staycation getaway, because staycation is going to be used so ridiculously much by our UK tourism over the course of the couple of weeks and months. Now, talking about the wording, the staycation wording, a little hack that everybody can do with your booking.com, potentially not booking.com because they have like editorial control, but Airbnb listings that you've got, if you've got Airbnb, you can go and change the listing, the description of your listing on Airbnb, because you've got more editorial control on Airbnb. In that main title, the main thing that they see, you can put staycation. So again, staycation, it will really stand out. Have that sort of staycation getaway type thing in the listing, in your description, or just somewhere in there. And again, if you want the easiest hack for these listing sites, it's just once a week, go and change the pictures, change the arrangement of where your pictures are, add a picture, take it out, put it back in, because every time you do that, you're just giving it a little boost just to say, hey, we're here, and the algorithm loves it. Now, obviously, all of my tactics and tips are here to help you increase your direct bookings, but at the end of the day, you cannot ignore these guys, because they spend so much money and they have pulled all of their advertising costs. They're building up a war chest. Don't even think for 1 second that when the world reopens, that they ain't just going to go boom, look at us, because they've got literally all the money to spend. So, you know, I'm a massive fan of book direct. I encourage everybody to learn these tactics and tips so you can increase your direct bookings. But the main thing is that we make them work for us and not the other way around. And that is literally what I've been showing people for the last 4 years. One link that I will give you that everybody can go and get hold of, and you can get it. It's a 5-step guide. It's a little blueprint that we put together in the hospitality community of how to increase your direct booking. So 5 little tactics that you can use. One of them is the Facebook one that I told you about. One of them is Google with Bid on Brand. And there's a couple more in there as well with emails and whatnot. So it's 5 steps. Again, I walk you through all of it. So if you're looking and you really do want to increase some direct bookings and not rely on these OTAs, it's boostly.co.uk/5 steps. So let me just put that in the chat. That's the best place to get started. boostly.co.uk/5 steps. And let's see what else I've got on these little notes here. Oh, as well, talking about Facebook groups and things of such. But you've got to sort of start to become your local expert. As in, when somebody comes into a Facebook group, say in your local area, and they go, where do you recommend I go, or where do you recommend we go, etc., for X, Y, and Z? Yours are names that first comes up. And one of the easiest things that you can start doing is find some of your local Facebook groups. Now, these could be business groups. It's like those those Friday morning breakfast network meetings that you used to go to back in the day. And, you know, you overpay for a crappy breakfast and just pointless conversation. It's like that, but it's all on Facebook. And, you know, it doesn't mean you have to get dressed up at like 6 a.m. and go to one of them before you start work. You can literally do it in your pants and on Facebook, which is so easy. But again, these groups are really powerful because, again, you can just come and find these local business groups. You can start sort of showing up there once a week or whatever, engage in a bit of conversation, just start to get your name known around the area. And again, you'll be really amazed at how effective that is. Because particularly if you take contractor bookings or business bookings of the sort, and you know, business bookings is a whole other kettle of fish that you can go down. But if you start sort of doing that, if you start showing up and you start sort of doing that specifically in the hotels and whatnot, then it's amazing at how many people start just to say, oh, you're looking for a place to go? Yeah, go there. It's so easy to be done, and again, it just takes a little bit of time, but it's so effective. I promised that I would talk about cancellation policies. Now, I'm not for 1 minute going to tell you how to run your business, but in that survey, the survey that interviewed and surveyed over 15,000 people, there was 2 things that was the key words of their fears right now. And this is for your guests. I guarantee it's your potential future guests in the future. Number 1 is safety, obviously. And number 2 is cancellation. So safety speaks for itself. Is the property clean? What are the cleaning processes, X, Y, and Z? And I'll finish off talking about that. But the cancellation one is also a big one. And again, if somebody lays down $1,000 or $2,000 to come on a week's stay or a 2-week stay, and for whatever reason, just before they arrive, they set off, a week before they set off or 3 days before they set off, they get one of those little pings on their phone saying you've come into contact with somebody that's got coronavirus, then, you know, the fear of that is what means that they couldn't go on their stay, which means that they would lose their deposit or whatever. So I'm not saying this is going to be a forever thing, but you really do have to start to think about changing the way that you take money, how you take bookings, how you take reservations. And I've said this for a while. I've said this before all this shit went down, is that I believe that we need to stop taking £10, £20 deposits. When somebody calls up, this goes, yeah, no worries, just give us a tenner or give us 20 quid and then you can pay the rest on arrival. I think now what we should be going towards a system is of taking full amount at the point of booking, and then it has a worry-free policy. So what I mean by worry-free is that you can say to the guest, listen, we obviously understand this is uncertain times, this could flare up or whatever for any reason in the future. If you need to, you can move your booking at any point. So at any point you can move it to the future, and you've got literally nothing to worry about. You can put in that you've got a set date cut off where if they have to cancel, then they can do so. But the wording and the sort of the motto that we've been saying in the group, in the hospitality group, and the experts that have come on is change, not cancel. So if we can get people to change and to move instead of cancel, then I think that, if you've got that wording. And again, I've seen some super examples on the world of the internet over the course of like the last sort of couple of months of how they're adopting to it. And again, come into the hospitality community group, look at the examples of people that have been of using, and again, just sort of try and put it into your practice. But just bear in mind, again, I'm not going to tell you how to run your business, but just with the policy, with the cancellation policy, we have to be a little bit more lenient. Moving forward, the worry-free cancellation policy is a term that is being branded around, and again, I think it just fills potential guests, potential bookings with a bit more confidence. Now, I'll finish with two things. Number one, all those guests that cancelled in March, if you haven't done so already, call them up because they booked with you for a reason. For whatever reason, they couldn't stay. Totally get that. You need to be picking up the phone and saying, hey, Sarah, hope you're doing well. I hope all the family's well. Just to let you know, we are reopening. I know you had to cancel your stay in March, April, May, but we're reopening here. These are the new policies we've got in place. These are new cleaning policies, just to let you know that you can rebook with us. You can rebook right now, and you can even just book credit. Loads of PMSs now have got gift cards built in. There's a really cool gift card website that we discovered last week that we were using, where people can book credit and then book the dates in at a later date. Again, if Caroline wants to send that out afterwards, you can do that. But this is a really good way of getting income in right now, contacting those guests. Because again, that same survey, the same survey that interviewed all those people and asked about all of that information, one of the things that they would say was that if the resort reached out to them and gave them another option, it was over 70% said that they would book. So whether that was credit now, buy vouchers now, or whatever, because people are funny things, specifically with hospitality and accommodation and holidays. We always want something to look forward to. When you start your season in March or April, you're always, and for hospitality, I'm personally speaking here, I was always looking forward to that holiday in December. I just knew that was the end of the season. As soon as we got this August bank holiday out the way, it was right. There's no more bank holidays now this year. We're done. So we always like something to look forward to. And if put yourselves in the footsteps and just put yourselves into the shoes of the guests over the last 10 weeks. We've been on lockdown. We've been locked away, or even worse, if they're key workers and they've had to be working in these crazy conditions, they want something to look forward to. And with what we do, we provide holidays, vacations, getaways to people. If we just step up and we post up and we be active and proactive, then you're going to be the ones that are going to get the bookings over everybody else. This is why the giveaway worked so well last week. By simply stepping up and doing that, it just worked so well. And the final thing that I will say about the safety point, and again, I'm seeing this, there's loads of policies, there's loads of guidelines and documents and whatever that's on the internet, which is great. A lady in my world in the Boostly Academy, Georgina Behrman, yesterday, she went on Facebook and recorded a video, made a video of her in her B&B in Life and St. Anne's, and she walked through, did a little video just explaining what they have done or they're going to be doing when they reopen. And it was fantastic. It laid it out in literally layman's terms, and she was in the property. She explained how breakfasts are going to be done. She explained how check-ins are going to be done. She explained the cleaning process. So it literally, it aligned any fears, and it's gone down so well on her Facebook page. So yeah, I've literally given you loads. I know I've thrown loads of stuff at you there. The final one is get Disney Plus in your properties. I know a lot of you get Netflix, especially I know a lot of you do Netflix and whatnot, but get Disney Plus. It's a one-time fee. You can use it multiple devices and talk about it, because again, when people come and stay with you, this is the final thing I'm going to say, people are going to come and stay with you, people are going to book with you, specifically people in rental properties like self-catering and whatnot. people are still going to be working from home. People are going to be coming to your property and they are going to be working. The reason why is because they just want to change a venue. It's happening so much in America, particularly in Texas, is that you've got people in Austin who are going and staying and working at different locations just because it's a change of environment. You know, and if they're in a city center and say I've got 3 boys under the age of 7, they are literally just non-stop from 6 o'clock in the morning to 7 p.m. at night. They are just Pokemon, Lego, just look at me, so fucking loud. But I can guarantee that if I was given an option to go and stay somewhere a little bit bigger, maybe with a back garden, place to go play so they can go out and play in the garden and whatnot, then that would be such a viable option. So again, don't think that people aren't booking. People will book. You just need to put your head up and just say, we're here. This is what we're doing. Lay it all out. Put it all into practice. Put it on your website. Put it on your social media and try one of these things and let's see what happens, eh? And if you do it, then tell me how the results are. Hospitality community, mark@boostly.co.uk, all of that. But Caroline, thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Mark. I've written loads and loads of notes, more than I have written, so thank you so much. That's been brilliant.
It's my mission when I jump on one of these is to melt a lot of brains. And I do speak fast and I do throw a lot at you, but these are recorded. So this is my final ask, is that this is recorded so you can watch back on it. Just watch it back and pick out one thing. Just one thing. Don't try and do it all because you'll get overwhelmed. And when you get overwhelmed, then you do nothing. Just pick out one thing and do it tomorrow or do it on Friday. And when you do it, tell me what it is. Because if you do just one thing, if you just do one thing and do it, imperfect action applied at speed is the key to success. And I don't care what ability you have or you think you have, what following you have, whether it's 1 or 1,000, whether you've got one room or you've got thousands of rooms. If you just do small little things and you put it into practice, you will smash it. And I guarantee it, because we are going to bounce back. We are going to bounce back hard, and I want you to be the ones that bounce back. So thank you so much.
You. Well, normally at the point I asked for if there was just one tip, and I think that actually that's with you, all of you as the attendees, to pick the one thing that's for you. But as Mark said, is just do it. Take imperfect action, because it's better than doing nothing. Perfect 100%. Action, but procrastination and it never happens is worthless. So 100%. Thank you so much, Mark. It's been really, really good.
My pleasure. On Friday, Harrow's just reminded me I'm doing a special video. It's a 90-minute video on Friday at 8:30. So it's an evening one. It's going to be on the Boostly Facebook page. So just type in Google Boostly Facebook page on Friday. 30 tips to get direct bookings. Harrow's just reminded me. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Will that be recorded, Mark?
Yes, it will be recorded, so you can catch up on that as well. So yeah, I know I've thrown a lot at you. I do apologize. Hope you are all well. Thank you so much for tuning in and for joining in and for chatting and whatnot. And yeah, I've got to leave because I've got a phone call to make.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Mark. That's been brilliant. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Love you all. Bye-bye.
Bye. And I'll see everybody else tomorrow. Tomorrow we have got Craig Webb, who has done quite a lot of work with Mark. And we have Becky Whitaker, who's going to be talking about social media. So in a similar sort of theme to what we've been doing tonight, both will be very different from Mark, but it's in the same sort of theme in terms of actual direct marketing ideas and tips that you can implement. So I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Have a good evening, everybody. Bye.